Welcome back. We're working on Auth server. We're going to add in authorization and authentication onto the Angular CLI application. We're just going to be doing it with JWTs, and it's going to be working with the ASP.NET Core Web API backend that we've been using for this project. So the first thing that I need to do is secure my routes. So if I look in my app here at my app routing module, here are all of my different routes. And I don't currently have one for a login controller. So let's add that. I'm going to do a ng generate component, and I'll put it in my components folder, and I want to call it login. And I'll do the same thing for logout. Okay. So in here, what I want to do is add an auth guard. So on any of these, I want to say can activate, and it's going to be a auth guard. And we're going to create this. Okay, and then we need to add in a web config for this so that all of these routes work correctly, and that we can only hit auth guard and not go to a page directly. And beyond this, I want to add in a route to login, which will just be my login component. And then one more to log out. So in here, in the app, at the base level, I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it web.config. And this is just a copy of what we typically use for Angular to make sure that the routes resolve correctly. So that's it. Good. And I need to make sure that this asset gets copied. So if I look inside of my Angular CLI JSON here, underneath projects, OAuth project type, style SCSS, prefix app. You have a thing in here that says assets. Yeah. We need to add in this asset here, which we're just going to call web.config. Okay. And so now I'm going to create this service. So in my app, I'm going to make a new folder called Auth. And I'm going to make a new file in that, and I'm going to call it authguard.ts. Now in this, we want to say export class called authguard, and it implements here can activate. So I need to add a constructor for this, like that. And it looks like I need to have a activated route in here, right? So we're going to add in here a router and a I'm going to make a new service called ng generate service called auth service. And I want to put this inside of my auth folder. I messed that up, so we'll get rid of this. We just want to call it auths, like that, auth. And I'm going to inject my auth service into here. So in my can activate route, I don't need all these other ones. Oh, it just doesn't return a value yet, so that's fine. I want to say if my this.authent service is not authenticated, so we're going to have a get in here, which is called is authenticated. This will be returning a boolean. So if this is not authenticated, then I want to navigate the user to this.router.navigate to the login page. And then we want to return false. Otherwise, I want to return true. Okay, so the auth guard is going to protect the route here. And make sure that we are authenticated. So if I look at my auth service now, I'm just going to return false here. And let's run the project. Tells me that the web config I should put inside of source. Let's just go change this in the angular.json to start at So because I'm working in a bootstrapped version of Angular, I need to move my web config to the root project. Now we can try it again. And I don't need this any longer because it's being managed by ASP.NET. So we'll rerun it one more time. And now it's letting me in. Now, If I look at what's coming back from the server here, it's never loading anything. So if I take a look at the routing module and I get rid of this, and I run it again, I don't understand why this is failing now. It's odd that it's failing now. So when I look at the web config, we're just going to comment all this out for now. Restart it. Try it again. Give it just a second to load here. Okay, this time it navigated to the page. If I go to a different page, I'm going to say that this goes to false. I can see that all the routes are protected. So if I go back into the routing module here and I say can activate Auth guard, let this reload. Now we can see that the route is protected, and it's bringing me to the login component. Well, it should be, but it's not. No provider for Auth guard. So that means that in my app module under providers, I want to put Auth guard. What can't this resolve? I want to say that this is injectable and like that. And now we can see that it's working. And it redirects me to login if I am not authenticated. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use local storage to hold a token in here. So what I want to say is authenticated, is I want to change this, and I want to say return, and we want to say window.local storage of my token is equal to undefined, or this is equal to null, or this is equal to null, or, just to have all the checks in here, undefined, or it's equal to nothing. That's it. And in here, I also want to have a get token, which is going to say if my window.local storage of this same thing so I could just say if it is not authenticated, then I want to return this. Otherwise, I want to return, I want to do a const of my JSON here. It's going to be json.parse of my window.local storage of token. Okay, so we're good there. And then all I want to do is return my JSON.token. Okay, I want to have a set token, which is going to be a token, which will be a string. No, we'll make this anything. And I just want to say that we're going to do this dot I'm going to change this to be a window.local storage of token is equal to token. And then I want to fire an event here to say that the authentication has changed. So we're going to have a private authentication changed, which we'll say is a new subject of a boolean, so that we can fire this and subscribe to it where we need to. And I want to have it as an observable, so we'll have a is authentication changed as a observable, and all I want this to be is this dot authentication change dot as observable. Of a boolean. And then here we're going to say this dot authentication changed dot next, and I'm going to pass in my true. Now this, I want to say JSON dot stringify my token. And this is this dot is authenticated. We're going to make this an actual function instead of a get. I don't like the gets in Angular. I feel like they're heavyweight. We're going to make another one called clear token. And this is going to be a window.local storage of token. And I want to set this to the undefined. And that's it for here. Okay. So let's create our logout component next. If I look at the class for this, my auth server just a second. So all I want to do when we go to the logout component is on init, I want to clear my token. So I'm going to say private auth service called auth service. And I also want to include a router called router. And all we're gonna do here is say auth service dot clear token, and then this dot router dot navigate to the login URL. So we can change the logout here just to be nothing. And now we're going to take a look at the login component. So in here, I'm going to create something called a token service, I think. Just a second. Well, I'm not going to do any of this stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an interceptor. Just one more second. I haven't made an interceptor in a while, so I just have to look one up. And the interceptor is going to attach the token. Here we go. To every, so I wonder, to every request. So can I do ng generate interceptor? And I want to put this in the shared, call it HTTP. That made it an interface, so. We're going to make a new folder in here called, and we'll put it out in the base directory, not in shared. And I'll just make a new folder in here called interceptors. And I'm going to make one here called http interceptor.ts. And in this, I'm just going to copy an interceptor I have from another project. So we don't have the OIDC service here. Instead, we have our Auth service that we created. And so we're going to get the access token here like this. And then any requests that we have, we're going to add the access token. And that's it. To register the interceptor, I have to put it here in a provider. Like this. And I want to say provide HTTP interceptors. And the use class is called HTTP interceptor. And the multi is true. Up here, we're going to import from my interceptors called HTTP interceptor. Okay, so now what I want to do is look at my auth service. And where I'm parsing this token, we're going to just do a console.log on token here. Undefined. Why is that failing? I don't see where this is failing. Check it out again. It's only happening one time, which is here. Oh, it's because this is a function now. That's it. Okay. So we are not authenticated at this point. And our HTTP interceptor is here for anything that we send to the API to attach the token to. So what we need to do now is create a login page. One more second. Okay, so the login page, we'll just do it really, really simply, is I'm going to look at my grant. We'll take these inputs. We'll put it on a card like this. So we'll take this whole panel, and under login, dump this in. And we're going to say this is called the login card. And it's just going to say login. Like that. And then we have a flex vertical container, which we're going to change to be a vertical like that. And then I want to have a div class equals a flex horizontal container inside of it. And all I want this to say is a username. And then we want to have a password. And I want this to say type equals password. So that password type didn't take. So let me look at this app. Oh, I do that in Angular by doing a type equals password. And this is just going to say login. And it's going to say login. And then in here, anything with a mat form field, I want to say has some padding of 0px, 10px, 0px, and 10px. Still not doing the password type. There we go. So now what I want to have is my login here. I'm going to, on my HTTP service that we created, make a new method called request login. And all this is going to do is a this.http client Okay, if I look at this other app here, for where I have HTTP client, One of these places, I have a different one, which I'm injecting. So we're going to add here in my interceptor a note which says alert interceptor firing. And now I'm going to go to my models and I'm going to create a new model called interface iLogin. And all this is going to have is a username, which is a string, and a password, which is a string. So on the login page, I want to pass in here my HTTP service. And I want to have here a username and a password. And so when the user clicks login, all I'm going to do is this.http. And this is going to be a login, which is an iLogin. And we're going to do a post of iLogin to login. And I want to pass across the login data. Now I want to subscribe to this, which is going to pass back a result. Which should be a token. So we'll deal with this in just a moment. Pardon me. So here we're just going to do this.login.login. And we're going to do a const for the request is a iLogin, which is equal to the username is this.username and the password is this.password. Now on my auth guard, that's fine. So when this login completes, I want to make this an observable of type any. So now over here, I can subscribe to that. Like that. And when we log in here, I want to do an alert handle token now. And that's it. So I do this, I do that, I hit that. It says login is not a function. We'll try it again. And the interceptor fired. Now I don't want the interceptor to fire, so if I do Angular CLI prevent interceptor for call. I forget how to do that. I like make a new... Do I just make a new interceptor? Angular CLI ignore interceptor. This is exactly what it was. So in this one, we're going to say private HTTP client is a new HTTP client. Actually, it doesn't matter, so I wouldn't worry about it. So here, we'll just leave it like this. And we'll let that interceptor fire, which I'm fine with. So now it's time to do the back end for this. Well, not quite. I want to add on the app here. I want to say on my app component, we want to pass in the private auth service called auth service. And I want to say is get is authenticated is a boolean, and we're just going to return this .auth service .is authenticated. So here, if this is authenticated, that's all when you're going to show this. Can I say style equals a padding of 10px, 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 10px? Can I add that up here as a div style equals that? And that looks nice. So here, I want to say that this is login to oauthserver.net. And here, I'm going to call this in my styles.css a padding basic. Like that. And then I can just say that the class here is padding basic. That's it. And when I click the login here, you can see it's trying to hit. but it's not finding anything. So let's go ahead and fix that now. So on the controller, I need to make a new controller here called a login controller. And I will need to have a new model here called login view model. And it's going to have a string for the username and a string for the password, and my data type is a password. And so in this, we're going to have an HTTP post, and this is just at login, and the route is going to be nowhere. And this is going to be a public virtual asynchronous task called login asynchronous. And we're going to pass in the login view model. Now I also have a data access layer here. So I'm going to add in a constructor, and I'm going to pass in my data access layer. Like that. Just another second. So in my startup, I want to say that we're going to add authentication and authorization. So here I'm going to say services.add authorization. And here we're going to add in the JWT bearer defaults. And I want to add the authentication scheme. And then since we're using JWTs, I'm going to add a JWT bearer, which has the following options. So my validate, I want to say options.token validation parameters equals this new bit of token validation parameters. And in here I want to say validate issuer is true, validate audience is true, validate lifetime is true, validate signing key is true. I need to put in an issuer and a audience and the signing key. And that's a new symmetric security key of type encoding.utf8.get bytes of my, and whatever the string is that we're using for that. And then down here I want to say services.addCores. So my issuer is whatever the Auth server is at. So we're going to open up these app settings in here. I'm going to add some more for the issuer. It's going to be whatever actually this one is running on. So we'll just say localhost. And the audience is, I'm going to say that this is OAuth server.net.ui. And so here I can say configuration of audience. This is configuration of issuer. And we need to have a signing key. Which I'm just going to generate some GUIDs. Like that. That's it. If I look at this UI here, this is actually here is my issuer. And so now down here in app, I need to say app.use authentication and then app.use authorization. So in my login controller, if I look at this, I should have a task of a iToken. And I'm going to say that this is login, and it's going to pass in a login view model. So here, all I'm going to do is a return await data access layer dot turn login of my login VM. And this is an iAction result. So I want to say this is going to be var token equals this. If my token is equal to null, then I want to say return bad request. Otherwise, I want to return OK of my token. So in my data access layer, I need to create a public virtual asynchronous task of an iToken called login asynchronous. and it's going to pass in a login VM. Now, when I look at this startup, I don't have identity in here yet. So we need to add that. So I have identity in the Auth server app, so we're going to open that one up. And I'm going to copy that in here. And we need to add in here a Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.Identity.UI. Like that. That's it. So now in my data access layer, I want to add in here a read-only user manager of type application user. Call it my user manager. And all I want to do here is await user manager dot we have a check password. So I want to say my application user equals await user manager dot find by name of my login VM dot username. If my application user is equal to null, then I want to return a null. If we check the password and it fails for the application user in the login view model of password, then I want to return a null. Otherwise, we want to generate a token. So if I look at my JWT service that I've already created, I have here everything I need. So we're going to inject here a JWT service. Call it JWT service. Make sure that we have that here. Now that I have that application user, I can do a return await JWT service. And this is a JWT service. And I want to say generate token. And it's going to be my application user.id. Then I need some parameters here. And then for the data access layer, it's this. So I'm going to make a new view model here, which is going to be called JWT parameters. And we had here string for the audience, string for the issuer, URI, string for the state, int for the token, expiration in minutes, and then a signing key and a IP address issuing token. And that's it. So I'm going to pass in here a JWT parameters. And now we've got parameters.audience, parameters.issuer, parameters.state, parameters.token, expiration in minutes, parameters.signing key, parameters.IP, and then this data access layer. And I want to say that this is as I data access layer. It says that this is a different type of data access layer. So if I added it's a JWT service dot JWT.net dot services dot iData access layer. And now this is going to be a var for my token refresh token. And all I want to return here is my token. So now this one needs to have the JWT parameters on it. This data access layer needs to inherit from this one. And now it's going to tell me that I'm missing these functions. These I already have written in this one. Just a second, let me find them. Get authorization code. Create authorization code. It's just these. And then the revoke. 1, 2, 3. We don't need the one with the ID. When you add this refresh token here, we're just going to return, we're going to say throw exception not implemented. Same thing with your revoke. Same thing with this get refresh token asynchronous. With this one, these are all going to be exactly the same because we're not exposing these, but I would like to use my service so that I can generate a token. Hey there, Ube2254X. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them into the chat. Here, my audience is and we're going to pass in here configuration called configuration. So this is going to be configuration of the issue audience. And then we're going to have the IP. We'll grab that in just a minute. The issuer is configuration of the issuer. You're nuts. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for that follow. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them into the chat. The next one here is the state. We don't have a state that we're passing in. Our token expiration in minutes is just going to be 60. My signing key is going to be my configuration of the signing key. That's it. So we need the IP address. So if I look at my base controller up here, just grab it like that. And I can say a protected virtual JWT parameters called generate JWT parameters. And we'll just move this into there. And now we can see how this works. So we've added both the signing here in the login controller, and we've added the tokens here. But I thought I had an auth guard that was working. So it must have generated some kind of a token here. So if I did a this.authservice.clear token, it's not acting right. It's not navigating me to the login page any longer. It says I have an error in my login component, but I don't. Yeah, it is firing there. So we're going to do an alert of this. What did that just alert? And that's why it's failing as well. Perfect. So now when I do the login here, just a second. And we try out this fake password and we log in. I generated a token. So if I look at the token, it's only got a couple of properties on it. So under models, I'm going to add in here a interface for a iToken, and it's going to have a access token, which is a string, a expires in, which is a int, a refresh token, which is a string, a state, which is a string, and a token type, which is a string. And in my HTTP services, where I post this, here, I want to get the response here, which is going to be a type of iToken, and I want to say if response, then I want to say alert successful token. Otherwise, I want to say else. I want to say not successful token. And in my auth service, where I'm setting the token, I'm stringifying the whole thing. So this is going to be a access token. I want to say to do, make sure to check if token is expired. And then this is going to be an iToken. So now we can say this.authService.set token to be my response. Let's try rebuilding it. It logs me in. It says successful token. And now it lets me browse the pages. So after this, we want to do this.navigate to the, like that. And on my login component, I just want to say message. And we're just going to say, not a successful login, please try again. And we're going to add in here a router. And up here I want to say if my message and my message does not equal to nothing, then I want to say message. And I can say a style equals text color, so it's just color red. So it worked. Oh, it's not working. $400 bad request. That's right. If I look at this login again, I can ask for a response code of observe. I could just change this and just do a okay. Just cheat. I'm getting tired of this app. All right, let this kick. And after this, all we have to do is add in our authorization tags and we should be done. We log in, we get the token back. Should have saved that token and then navigated me. Try it again. Something with the set token. That's what the problem was. And now you can see that it's working. Now, on my top, this needs to say logout. It's not working. When we go to the logout component, we clear the token. But the grant, so if I look at my guard, it says it is authenticated. So if I look at my login component one more time on my ng on init, we want to do alert.this.authservice.get token. And then we need to do implements on init, like that. Unexpected token U in JSON. Let's see what that is. Undefined. But it says that it's authenticated. Yeah, it's undefined. All right. Admin password 1. Get the login, sets the token, it set the token, it's good. That worked. Log out. Cleared the token, navigates me away. App component says that is authenticated, needs to be like that. No, it was saying that it changed, right? Here. So instead of doing it like this, I'm going to add a property here called is authenticated. And then on init, I'm going to say this.isAuthenticated equals this.authService.isAuthenticated. And I want to say that we're going to subscribe on it. This.authService. Is it changed? I want to subscribe. And then we can just set this dot is authenticated equals to is authenticated. Now I need to add in a auth subscription and then a ng on destroy where we just unsubscribe from it like that. And that's it. So back over here in the app. Oh, where did the page go? Hey Keith, do you happen to have a web config for when the Angular and C and .NET are tightly coupled? That worked. No, I mean, like, in this example, I have one service, right? It's just one .NET Core Web API, and in it, it's bootstrapping Angular. So that way it all runs on the same domain, and I only have one service. So I needed to add in a config. Here, it's this one. I needed to add in a web config to keep the Angular routes. But this is causing me a problem right now. But I can look at that again in a minute. So now if I look at the logout, it brings me out here. Okay, I don't know what this means. I don't know how to fix this. Okay, so over here, it wants me to do it with check changes, but I am because I'm subscribing on it. You know what's going on here, Keith? That's right. Expression has been changed after it was checked. Yeah, you're updating the UI after the changes run. I see that. But what I'm doing is I'm just doing a subscription here with RxJS. But if I implemented it, what would I do with it? Would I ng on after view init? After view init. It's just after view init. Oh, ng after view init. Yeah. So what? I just need to have another one in here. Is authenticated checked. Some crap like that, and then I'm just trying to get this thing to go away, but I'm going to move past it because it doesn't matter too much. Still very upset with me. I don't know what's going on. I'll work that one out in a little bit. But otherwise, everything is working correctly. the, get rid of that, and this one here. Could I just do a get is authenticated is a boolean and just do a return this dot auth service dot is authenticated? I don't know. Put the subscription in there. Okay. I didn't think that would make a difference, but we can do that. I don't have a subscription anymore. But I can add one back in. Oh, it's a race condition. Okay, that makes sense. Nah, it's still doing it. Still doing it. Put it in the constructor. Whoops. What kind of subscription is it? It's observable. Yeah, it's still doing it. Let's move this back to the on init. And if I looked at this one, could I set this to be a behavior subject of false? And after this, we're just going to check the auth and it should be done. Same issue. So here, So on my component, all of that is done. So now I want to look at the back end here. And we just want to make sure that the requests that are coming in are authenticated. We can get rid of this and all of those alerts. There we go. Try it again. We're going to watch the network tab. And we can see that we are attaching the cookie type. There's the response. And there's the bearer token being attached to it. So if I change my auth guard here, to just always return true, and I want to go to log out. And now I just go here. It shouldn't have done that. Oh, I didn't add the authorized tag here. My bad. Try it again. And now it's no longer hitting because we're not authorized. 401. But if I go through the login, by re-enabling the auth guard, and I add in this, now we're re-requesting the payload. So what I need to do is on this side, I need to say on clients, on my HTTP service, we're going to add a private has payload been received. And so if my has payload has not been received, then we're going to do all this. And this is going to be this dot payload has been received equals true. And then I want to move in the app component here this to be in clients on my ng init. Like that. I need to fix my donation alert, says a good idea company. What do you mean, man? It should have gone off. I'll add it on my notes right now. I will do that, man. I'm sorry, man. I'll fix that right away. Okay, so we got it because we have our authorized tag. Thanks, John. I appreciate that, man. I'm sorry about that. So now I want to look at the app component here. It says if it is authenticated, which we're subscribing when the authentication is changed. Instead of doing this, I can just do get is authenticated, which will be a boolean, which comes from my this dot, we want to do a return this dot HTTP service dot, sorry, this dot auth. How are you doing, John? Like that. There we go. Do the logout, come back in here, admin, put that in. If I try to go here without, it should give me a 401. AuthGuard won't let me go. So I also want to make sure that when we log out that we clear that. It's still doing it. Boolan. Boolean. I say Boolean. Okay, so that's fine. And now in my log out component, when we clear the token, I also want to do in the HTTP service, I want to have a clear payload, which is going to say this has payload been received as false. And now I want to issue a new set here, which is going to be called clear clients. And then clear grants. And then clear redirect URIs. Just a few more. Clear redirect URIs. For the core's origins. And then the client scopes. Down here we have clear clients. Which doesn't pass in anything. Your clear grants, which doesn't update anything. This one for the post logout redirect URIs. There's this one for the redirect URIs. There's this one for the clear client core's origins. And the last one is clear client scopes. Clear client post log redirect URIs. Clear client redirect URIs. Clear client core's origins. And then clear client scopes. Okay, so now we have to do the reducers. This goes real fast. This one is a case app actions.clear clients. And all you're going to do is return a new array like that. Same one here for clear this. And then one here, case app actions dot clear client redirect URIs. And then here for clear client course origins. And then here for clear client scopes. And then the last one here is grants. And that's it. And so back over here now where I'm actually using these on my clear payload, I want to say clear grants. And clear clients. Clear client post logout redirect URIs. Clear client redirect URIs. Clear client origins. And clear client scopes. Like that. And so on our back end now, on my different controllers, we can add in the authorize tag. And the last thing I need to do is I need to have something where my token gets set. Here, when we get this response, I want to say const token equal is a type of I token, and I want to do this, and my properties in this are I want to add in one more, which is a expires at. So I just want to look up real quick JavaScript check if token is expired. JWT.verify. We want to set the expiration date here. So where I'm doing this, and I'm setting the token, I also want to say window.local storage of my expiration date will be equal to can do a const token expiration is a type of date equals a new date. And then I can do token expiration dot set seconds to my new date dot get seconds plus my token dot expires in. That. Like that. And then we're going to set the expiration date here to be token expiration. And then I can say, and my window.local storage of the expiration date is greater than my, and how do I get my current date? Is it just date.now? So if I run this again, extant replicant, are you using RxJS? I am using RxJS. Keith is firing, throwing some shots. And I think we're done here. Let's just check this last little bit. Do all of these things have the authorized attack? I believe I put it all on all of them. And here's our login. Still not, didn't take because it's not authenticating that, because let's do a console.log of my token expiration and then a console.log of my date.now. Oh, that's the problem, is that now is a function. Still didn't kick. This is not in seconds. So if I look at this again, and I want to say date now, can I do a new date of my get seconds? $14. It's expiring in 1 hour. Almost have it. That's looking right. So I want to say if my token expiration is greater than my new date, and I want to say alert is greater, else I want to say is not greater. And we'll do an admin and the password. It says it's greater. And it's not kicking me out there, so the what is being stored here. So we want to do console.log of this. No, it's there. That's right. It's odd. So that is the expiration time. It is greater than the date. Yeah, see, everything is working. It's just saying that it's not. All that looks right. So if this greater than this, so it's not. So can I do like a date.parse or something? There we go. Now it's working. And this expression. That's to check to make sure it's not expired. And that's it. And except for that little error, we're done. So we've added in the authentication. Why don't you use cookies instead of sessions, asks Breezy's. We're not using sessions, we're using JWTs. I'm not using cookies in this case just because I'm just set up a really quick JWT server that goes hand in hand with the Auth server that we've created. Oh, for local storage, I'm using local storage instead of sessions. So, anyways, I'm out of time for the day, so thank you guys very much for staying with me. I'll be back at, let's say, we'll be back at 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And if you have any questions, this is a great time to put them into the Discord or this chat. And then also I put all these videos up at... I put all these videos up at youtube.pixelhorrorstudios.com. So thanks again, guys, and have a great rest of your day. Have a great one. Bye, guys.